Special thanks to all the super residents for supporting the channel. Follow the link here to become a member. Godzilla has fought countless monsters throughout the years, creatures of unimaginable strength, alien monstrosities, mutants, and robot menaces. He's seemingly faced it all, but one thing he's never had to conquer is himself. He's of course fought a freak of nature clone and an alien robot disguised as him and that thing, but he's not had to duke it out with another king of the monsters in a bid for supremacy. But what if -1 will have not only one Godzilla, but two, and that they will battle to become the last monster standing? There's evidence to suggest that may be the case. So let's go over how two Godzillas may fight in -1. I'm Alistair, and welcome to DangerVille. -1 looks to revisit the post-war era for the first time in decades, going back to a time when the tragedy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki was still raw in the population of Japan. Godzilla is the physical embodiment of that destruction. Going back to that era will help bridge that connection to make the most horrifying representation of the horrors of nuclear war since Godzilla's very inception. And the trailer reflects that, giving us images that hark back to a darker time. But will the film just be a by-the-numbers remake of 1954, or will there be something else? Like Shin Godzilla, I'm inclined to believe there will be a twist on the formula, and a 4chan leak suggests that may be the case. Now, take this leak with a grain of salt. I'm not confirming that this is happening for sure, but there is evidence that leans in favor of this direction. But here's a spoiler warning, just in case the leaks end up being legit. According to the leak, Godzilla will not be alone in the film and will be joined by another member of its species that was unaffected by the nuclear radiation, being similar but distinct in many ways, with the Godzilla we see in the trailer having rough mutated skin and warped bony dorsal plates, as the more natural specimen has more smooth, whale-like skin with cranial proportions of an orca and a large fin-like dorsal plate, emphasizing the oceanic qualities of the monster, which has a silhouette that's pretty much exactly like the -1 poster, although this may still just be a stylized G. The film will reportedly be a tragedy as the two monsters go head-to-head, with the mutated Godzilla wanting to destroy Japan as it became hideously mutated due to the bombs dropped on its cities, whilst the other Godzilla tries to bring him home to their natural habitat. Serizawa, who has a central role in the film, will build an oxygen destroyer much like what we saw in the 1954 original, but when it's activated to kill the mutated Godzilla, the twin instead takes the hit for its brother, sacrificing itself so Godzilla may live. Leaving the King of the Monsters alive to potentially star in a new film series. Now, in my opinion, this sounds great and a really unique take on the Godzilla formula. It's action-packed and a tragedy rolled into one. There's actually 2 points in the trailer that may support this plot leak. When one of the leads states, "He will never forgive us." This could be in reference to the murder of Godzilla's twin, and how Godzilla will never forget what they did to his species, just like how Japan will never forget what happened in 1945. And the final shot of a scorched Goji roaring in fury at the sky could be immediately following the death of its friend, and the civilians look on in horror as the one that caused so much misery still lives to torment them. Now, there may be some legitimacy to their leak. The film is of course going back to when it all started and is expanding on the original concept, which means certain themes and iconography will of course be returning. Well, in the 1954 original, it's proposed that Gojira was in fact one of many that lived at the bottom of the ocean, thriving for millions of years, feeding on deep-sea organisms, but their habitat was destroyed by American hydrogen bomb tests. Dr. Yamane proposed that Gojira was living among others of his kind prior to their destruction, leaving Godzilla as the last one standing, drawing him out of his habitat, seeking revenge. This idea is supported by official artwork of the 1954 Godzilla living with other Godzillas underwater before a huge explosion destroys the habitat, killing his companions and burning and enraging Godzilla and drawing him to the surface. So if -1 is bringing back concepts from the original and expanding on it, we may see the idea of multiple Godzillas explored, and instead of them all dying from the explosion, they fight against Godzilla in a representation of both all the good and all the bad that nuclear energy can cause, being the physical embodiment of the light and the dark. A war on both perspectives of the use of the nuclear bomb, and how from the American point of view, it ended the war and saved lives, whilst from the Japanese perspective, it was an unnecessary use of force that took hundreds of thousands of lives in the most painful way possible. It could make -1 an excellent exploration of atomic power, something we've not really seen before from the series. -1 could be the most impactful Godzilla film ever made. Remember, it's good to take the leap with a grain of salt. I'd personally love to see this happen, but don't get your hopes up as to not be disappointed in the final film, just in case it doesn't happen. But what do you think? Do you want to see 2 Godzillas in -1? And do you like the idea of the natural Godzilla looking almost like an orca? Let us know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and stomp the notification button to become a resident of DangerVille today. Be sure to give this video a Kong-sized thumbs up if you want more -1 content. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.